Welcome, guys, to Kieran Horn, CFB, and today we're going to be talking about the LSU quarterback room and why they have such a big problem. Now, I know what you're thinking, there's a lot of talent, and that is actually where the problem comes for. But before we get into the video, remember to like the video if you enjoyed it, dislike it if you didn't like it, even though we can't see them on YouTube anymore. Leave a comment, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and tell me what you want to see next. So let's get into the video. The past 2 years had been tough for the Tigers. Take that from an LSU fan. It's been tough. We lost 18 players to the NFL draft after the 2020 National Championship season, and we looked depleted. We looked out of our depth, and the roster just struggled against some of the better teams in the SEC, including guys like Bama and Georgia. That is not an easy schedule. But the hole left by Joe Burrow was extremely noticeable. The team looked lost during spring practice, but it was finally time for Myles Brennan to take over. This was hopeful. I was excited about Myles Brennan. I think everyone at the school was. I mean, he had big shoes to fill, but Myles Brennan was a legit recruit, a 4-star recruit, Mississippi native, broke heaps of records in Mississippi high school football, and he'd rode the bench for 2 years. He came in with the promise of being the starter, but Joe Burrow came in, obviously transferred, took the keys to that offense, and absolutely went wild over his 2 years, including the national championship season where he threw over 60 touchdowns, a record that's only been beaten recently by Bailey Zapp, but it is what it is. So, he rode the bench for 2 years, he won a national championship. Myles Brennan was finally going to get his shot at the offense. So how did it go? As we know, the 2020 season was kind of a little bit hampered by COVID, and Myles was trying his best, especially in week 1, carrying a Bo Pelini-led defense. He put up 345 yards and 3 touchdowns as the Tigers fell 44-34 to Mississippi State, a game in which, you know, they broke heaps of passing records from a Stanford transfer. It was crazy. That was not a fun game for us to watch. And week 2 was a bounce back when we went up to Vanderbilt and we won 41-7. Myles put up 337 yards and 4 touchdowns. Another great showing. But guys, after week 1, it felt like we were back on track until week 3, where despite a record-setting 430 yards and 4 touchdowns, we lost 45-43 to Mizzou, and that's when it happened. Myles got hurt, and badly. Late in the Mizzou game, Myles suffered, the only way to describe it is a torn abdomen, an injury that was so unique that doctors said if he had underwent surgery for the procedure, it would have been named after him. It's a tough break for Myles because he had to decide to heal naturally because, I don't know if you get told, hey, if you do a surgery, it's going to be named after you. That's how experimental it is. I wouldn't do it neither. But luckily for LSU, we had TJ Finley, who's now the starting quarterback at Auburn, and Max Johnson, now at Texas A&M, to take over starting duties, leading us to a 5-5 record on the year. But 2021 rolled around sooner than anyone could have imagined after what could be described as a heartbreaking season. But 2021's here, Myles was healthy, and he was ready to take back the starting job for the aforementioned freshman who held down the fort while he was gone. Now, in the meantime, like I just mentioned, TJ Finley transferred to Auburn, and Garrett Nussmeier had joined Max and Myles in the QB room at Baton Rouge. The future was bright, and the stage was set for Myles to make his mark, until he caught his flip-flop in a dock while carrying fishing gear, and he broke his arm because he fell awkwardly. Now, this guy cannot catch a break. Like, you come back from an injury that's so severe, they would have had to name an operation after you, and then you catch your flip-flop in a deck. Oh, bro, I can't. Anyway, Myles would miss, the end of the season because of this freak injury, and nobody really knows what's going on from here. But recently, we saw Myles back on the field again, the LSU spring game, where he was 11 of 17 for 99 yards and a touchdown. Yeah, is what it is. During his timeout, though, another poor start to the season, Coach O was fired, and the Tigers crept to a 6-6 record. With Coach O, the man who recruited Miles, gone, he decided to enter the transfer portal. A shame that at this point it seemed like Miles would never suit up for LSU and he would be headed to pastures greener. But weeks later, LSU hired former Notre Dame head coach Brian Kelly, who convinced Miles to stay. And here's the problem that comes in. Kelly had not only convinced incoming 5-star Walker Howard to stay committed, he also added Arizona State star Jane Daniels to the QB room. And they've already got us. The QB room in Baton Rouge is getting crowded. So, let's talk about Jane Daniels. He played 2 full years. Like, he was at Arizona State for 3 years, but obviously because of a COVID season, he only played 2 full years as a starter because, Pac-12 can't handle COVID. With the best week of his the best year being his freshman campaign, where he threw for 2,943 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 2 picks, while adding 355 yards and 3 scores on the ground. He did regress slightly in 2021. Remember, we are ignoring that COVID season, throwing for 2,380 yards, 10 touchdowns, 10 picks, but this time he added 710 ground yards and 6 scores. Now, Daniel has amazing traits and is a top-level athlete, but his regression as a passer at Arizona State could limit the role he plays in this LSU offense. Now, he finished the spring game 3 of 9 with 68 yards. He did run for a score, but I feel that's where he's going to be limited. He's going to be the option guy. I don't think he can carry this team as a starter, and with all the exceptional running backs we've had come in, it doesn't make sense to start him. But let's talk about a little bit of a wild card. Now we've talked about Miles, we've talked about Jaden Daniels, the income. I'm not really going to talk about Walker Howard because, we know he's redshirting this year. We've not seen enough of him to really know what's going on, but he is obviously an incredibly talented kid. So Garrett is the wild card here. He was the most impressive QB on the team during the spring practice, and even while missing the nation's best receiver in Kayshon Boutte, he still lit up the field and looked comfortable doing so, even behind the relentless pressure from the suffocating D-line that we've put together. Garrett only started 1 game for LSU in a losing effort to Arkansas, which saw him throw for 179 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 picks. They're not good numbers at all, but he was an underprepared freshman. He came in, did the best with what he had, and he's obviously looked better. So we look at his spring game. His father is the quarterback coach for the Dallas Cowboys. Very good quarterback coach. Dak Prescott has been on fire lately, and that's definitely helped Garrett in the offseason. Like, he's upped his game. He's fitting balls into tighter windows. Looked like he could make every throw on that field with that rocket arm of his. So if you have to ask me, especially after spring game where he went 9 of 16, 136 yards and a touchdown now, the completion percentage isn't there, but if you saw the game, you can see he's clearly the better player. So I think Nussmeier has the edge as a starter if you ask me, but, that's just me. So as far as people are concerned right now, there is no named starter. Kelly's bias towards veterans would suggest that Daniels and Miles are the front runners for the job, but these youngsters have some upside. Nussmeier has a cannon arm, allowing for LSU's star wideouts to make more explosive plays downfield, and Walker Howard is the biggest quarterback recruit LSU has ever bagged. And with guys like Dante Moore looking to commit too, it's tough. Walker Howard, like I said, biggest QB recruit we've ever had, and his favorite target from high school, Jack Besh, is poised to have a breakout year. So if you put those two together, that's going to be exceptional, especially when he's going into his 3rd year. So LSU's kind of suffering from the same problem at Ohio State had, where they had Quinn Ewers, CJ Stroud, all those guys. You're going to lose guys. Guys are transferring out, and that's just what we're going to see. Now, if I had to hedge my bets, who is LSU going to lose at quarterback? I am praying it's not Nuss or Walker. I know what you're saying. We need guys with experience, what have you, but come on. They are the most talented. They have the most upside. Now, Jaden Daniels, like I said, is a fantastic athlete. I wouldn't actually be sad to see him go. And I'm not really attached to him in the same way I am with guys like Miles, but he's not offering us anything that the other guys haven't got. Now, Nussmeier is a great athlete. I'm not saying he's on the level that Jaden Daniels is, but Nussmeier is a fantastic athlete. I think we have to give him credit there. And, Howard could just force his way in. Pairing him with Besh could be the most explosive playmakers we've had at LSU since, well, no, Keishon Butte last year, or Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson the year before that. LSU is stacked, man. This is a scary, scary team. But anyway, guys, thanks for enjoying the video. Like I said, thumbs up if you liked it, thumbs down if you didn't. Leave a comment down below on what you'd like to see more of, what we can improve. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.